is your question. Before you ask your question, if you could share one of the strategies from your first question, that would be great. So just give us one or two of the concrete things you talked about quickly, and then ask your question for Ms. Major. Okay? And I have the mic. You do have to come a little bit to the center because it's not a wireless one. All right, who's first?
They are.
Yeah? That's really exciting. Yay!
Okay, so first our question for you was, do you think that it would make a big difference if things like gender identity and sexual identity were taught in schools maybe like as early as elementary school or middle school? And like how important is that to helping change views on transgender? And yeah, okay.
Okay, Fred, hey. Yes, it would make a difference, but in doing that, you also have to make sure that they have people there to show in regards to this, and not leave it to someone's imagination, or to bring somebody in that doesn't truly represent what the community is and the diversity of it. And in doing that, the thing to understand is to try to explain that in this binary that the society has set up of male and female, that there are degrees of all of that, you know, like there's blue, then there's aqua blue and turquoise blue, you know, that kind of thing. So to relate it to people, especially at a younger age. And you don't have to tell them everything out front, but just give them enough for their brain and conceive and understand it. And then repeat it. Don't do it one time, say in 5th grade, and don't do it no more. 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade. So that as they grow, they learn the differences and can acclimate to that. Yeah. I hope that helps.
Yeah. Thank you. That was great. Thank you. Especially for being the first group. Okay, who's next?
We also talked about education as one of our strategies, and as well as like court support for women of color in Chicago who need it. So that was our concrete strategy. Our question was about supporting trans women of color who are resisting in prison. We've seen a few of us reading Black and Pink newspaper and seen in California recently like a group of trans women who are organizing to like change policy in their specific prison. So we're wondering through TJIJP, what kinds of resistance are you hearing from trans women of color, and what can those of us who are not incarcerated do to support their organizing on the inside?
Okay. Is this thing on? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. One of the things about that is education is truly important, and in regards to what's going on in the prison system, you have to really be delicate about how you approach that, because the system reads all that mail. And so if they're getting something coming in that the prison doesn't approve of, they'll stop that mail from coming and then harass the lady that is in the prison at the time. The thing to work with is find like a National Lawyers Guild or someone to work with you so that the mail that they get that contains information about their doing better and knowing what the laws are for and about them should be done legally so that it can be open and she can get it and then spread that information around. The other thing is in doing that, what winds up happening is you have to make sure that it's somebody who's going to do that and do it quietly. Because you don't want to send them this and then put them under the gun while they're inside, because there's no recourse for that. And education is truly important, and the thing is that you have to start at the base and the beginning of this, which is the people who are running the prison. You know, there are laws, federal government laws on how to treat and do transgender women, and they go, oh yeah, we have that, and they pass it down. Well, passing it down don't mean that anyone's going to read it or that the people who should be doing that work are going to do it. So you need to advocate and work for being able to have them not only get that information, but have somebody come in and explain it to them, how to go about using it, and what advantages it would be for them as well as for us. You know, because they're very selfish and maniacal. So if they're not going to benefit from it, then they're not going to care about it. But a way to get them to understand that if you do this, then that'll make it better with what you have to go through in dealing with the population from the beginning. Okay? Amy.
Just get it over here.
Okay, hi. We were wondering how you think, like, showing the trans women of color, like Laverne Cox and Janet Mock and people like that, how their exposure recently has helped the transgender community.
Okay, that has been a really wonderful thing that has gone on, and the only problem with that is how late it is in coming. And then, there's only one Laverne Cox and only one Janet Mock. Laverne's acting, she's a writer. Well, that's really cute. Yay, I'm very happy for you. I'm glad that you're doing this and fighting the struggle. But you don't need a straight man to play Tootsie. You need a transgender woman to be Tootsie. Or Welcome Home to Our Food, whatever the hell that was. You know, that's really nice. And after seeing women nice in a dress, I swear to God, like, okay, if women, if we look like that, I wouldn't be put on a dress. You know, but it makes a difference in the fact that what has happened is we've become the flavor of the month in a sense, for funding and for other things. So everybody now wants to do some kind of transgender work. Well, that's really cute, but they're not advocating for transgender people. There's no transgender identified papers or articles in their place where they're doing their services. And then they have the audacity to not want to work with the transgender women who do not pass. They want to work with transgender women who look like Laverne Cox. Those people are not here hitting the street, honey. I'm sorry. Those are not the girls that are doing the do. So they need to accept and change this stuff, you know, to make it better. It's a good thing that it's happening. I know them both personally, and I'm very proud of them. And it's an interesting position to be in, but it needs to be spread out so that the people who are not in that position get the services that they need to be okay, and hopefully they'll get that position.
Question? May run out. I don't know. Might have to sneak this way. Go wait. There
In terms of the first question about like what can people do, Jason mentioned Cop Watch, signing up for Cop Watch, getting trained, and they're also what? Oh, that's right, the Police and Criminal. And also there are organizations here in Chicago that do support trans women of color and reach out to them, volunteering, donations, what have you. And my question is sort of related. I wanted to know, in the course of your career, how has your experience with allies been? Specifically, what were the good allies that you found? How did you find them? And how did they show that they were good allies? Or alternatively, if you've had bad allies, how did you get them and what did they do wrong?
Okay. Well, first of all, the thing about meeting with allies is you have to work with and identify with people who hold the same beliefs that you do, you know, and that their core person is something that you can believe in. In regards to who's been bad and who's been good, that's such a towing cost. Simply because, you know, a lot of people really don't know what they're getting involved in by claiming that they do transgender work. They really don't understand what the term is in that regard. It's like if you tell someone you're a transsexual, well, they think automatically you've gone and got your dick or balls cut off and you're a real woman. And then there's the I'm transgender, well, they expect you to have a dick that's 10 inches, and the first question they ask you usually is, oh, how big's your dick? God, I haven't measured it. You want to measure it for me? And then they don't ask any more questions. It becomes a matter of making sure that, you know, if they're working with you and they're part of what you're doing, don't give them any slack to let them back up and throw little innuendos in. You know what I mean? Oh, shit, I forgot that you want to be called she. Bitch, you didn't hardly forget it. You just didn't you know what I mean? Make them pay for their mistakes. You know, and get them to realize that you don't have to take this shit. We'll tell about the bitches and we'll fight you tooth and nail. And hopefully you'll get better.
Thank you.
Sure.
What's next? Okay.
I think I have one over there. The first, like,
And by the way, while you're coming over here, what Jason was talking about is called the Police Encounter Line. You can find it on the We Charge Genocide website.
Well, Dick is in it. I definitely need to know where that's at.
So just like the other groups, we also talk about education. I'm big on obviously with youth, starting when they're young. And we talk a lot about like, in addition to women, like with men, it's a lot of heterosexual men that are called fag and things like that. So we talked a lot about that and like the different issues that we face. But aside from education, our question was what strategies do you use to stay whole and healthy in your work?
Oh.
Because it is rigorous work. I mean, I think all of us, if we're working with youth or this type of work, we feel sometimes you get that burnout. So what strategies do you use?
Keep going. You know, you have
to
to take time to recharge your batteries like you do in a car. And there's been many nights that I've just cried over the loss of some girl who didn't take the opportunities to step up and do something better, you know. And the thing is that when you have those moments or things like that hit you, chomp, get a glass of wine, put on some Billie Holiday, cry your heart out, and the next day go out there and make that next person fucking pay. That's the only way you're going to get through this, because if you don't take care of yourself and nurture what you're going through and appreciate the emotions that you have, there's nothing wrong with being sad or needing to cry over something that's gone on, you know, that folks are dying that shouldn't have been dead. You know, when AIDS hit and I was in New York at the time, it was a matter of these guys are getting diagnosed on Monday and died by Thursday. You know, so for my generation at that time, being a younger person, only elder people knew what that kind of feeling was like, you know. But it got to the point where then you didn't want to meet anybody or know them, because maybe by next week they wouldn't be there. You know, so all of a sudden it became where you were completely blocked off from everything and everyone, you know. And in regards to that, you have to keep in mind that as you're going through that, you have to adapt to that too, but you've got to keep going. You can't, the world won't let you, you can't afford to stop. You know, you've got to keep doing this. Okay, hope that helps.
Yes.
I would like to do it.
Okay, I think I can. In a little bit, I feel like I'm vacuuming.
Thank you. So we talked about a number of things, including integrating trans women's issues authentically, so not as a flavor of the month, and bringing and stepping back and allowing more visibility of trans women of color in leadership and gatekeeper roles. As a part of that, dismantling bad systems, so including like the We Charge Genocide, not calling police, right? The one question along the ideas and along the lines of self-care that we have for youth, so we talk a lot in social justice circles and just in struggles about self-care, and you mentioned that you've been doing this for so long. What would you say, what is the soundtrack of your life? Like what makes you, what music makes you get up and go, and yeah.
Saw something that makes my booty shake. I would jump up and hit you in the house. Different things, you know. There are some country music songs that just tear my heart out, and I boo-hoo old girls that have died that I've lost that are really close to me. And then there's some dance things that are really cute. Like I love Blurred Lines with that cute little white boy and women dance. Leave her, I can show him really good time. But it becomes a matter of making sure that you're doing things that are comfortable for you, and that you're okay with it. A lot of people are devoting themselves now toward policy. They want to change the laws, they want to change the books, and that's a really wonderful thing. And I'm happy that somebody wants to take that on, going to fight the government, and going to see senators and all this stuff to make the laws better. For me, that's really cute, but I don't have time for that, because you can do all of that, and the people who need to enforce those laws aren't gonna read that law, and if they read it, they aren't gonna do it. They're simply not going to go there. And in regards to that, it becomes a matter of, that's really cute, but I would rather work with my community, hands-on, face-to-face, so that they can see, well, if I got here, they can get here. You know? Give them some hope, give them some belief that they can get better. If the world doesn't, they can still do what they need to do to be okay within this realm that includes them. Because like I said in that thing, you know, one of the things that happens is we're not even safe sometimes in our own homes, simply because of the men that we're around, but that we feel just that, well, this is all we have to deal with, so fuck it, take it on. Well, we don't have to do that, you know. But waiting for something else to happen, or it's hard pressed, you know. If it's not happening to a female, people I know damn well that Prince is not gonna hop over her and come running to me, you know. Especially if she's gonna be shorter than me in the first place. But going at that way would be a better way to do. And it works, you know, it'll keep you going, you know what I mean? And when you get a chance to boogie and shake, girl, go forward. But you gotta go, use it. Enjoy.
Okay, you're ready. Okay, I'll go here and then there.
Thank you very much for your conversation this evening. Going back to what you said earlier about the homeless person should reach out, that's what our conversation went around, going back to the community, what you're talking about now. So we actually, our group formed by just meeting each other, so that's a community reach too, and we had international background too, so it was very interesting. But we talked about in the lockup situation, reaching out within that situation, which I understand there's regulations and policies. But we also talked about here in Chicago going out to the streets. And it's very challenging here, and some of the individuals in our group have been in your city, and so they noted a difference. And we were asking you, how can we implement what you do over there to be effective here in this very different environment so that we can reach out and reach these individuals? I mean, we have the center on Halsted, which is fabulous, but actually having the credibility to go up to the transgender to make them feel safe. What would you suggest we do?
The thing is that you have to meet people on the grounds of where they are. It's like you can't have an office for them to come to and it's in some building in the loop, you know what I mean? They're not coming. You know, why they go put themselves through all that hassle to get there, and then the hassle at the door trying to get in, or needing to show ID that doesn't match what their gender presentation is. And what you have to do in working with that is working through and finding people who are like-minded that are already within the system. Everybody doesn't agree that how it's running is fine. You know, so you have to figure out a way to negotiate through that to find somebody who will work with you on it. Because like when we are initially arrested, back when I was here in Chicago and got arrested and went to Bridewell, they made my girlfriend and I strip and walk along all the tiers until all the guys got to see us, and then stand in the middle of the reception area for them to look at and jack off on themselves and stuff. You know, and so those things are complete atrocities, and things have to be done to make it better. You know, I don't know if it's still going on, although it probably is on occasion. But it's a matter of sorting that out, and you'll find people to work with on that, so that you can work on changing that.